At the end of the day, we all are mirrors walking each other home, and co-regulation has scientifically been proven to be a thing. Hearts synchronize with the nervous systems around them. And when you say like people get upset when you trigger them, if you're so calm, that's their medicine. And over time, their nervous system will start to sync, because the heart is the largest magnet, literally like a metronome. We sync to who's around us. To be open and vulnerable and feel all those feelings and be witnessed just amplifies the regulation in the body. The longest study in human history, the 80-year-plus Harvard study, they spent over 80 years, I think over 72 youth from Boston, 18-year-old boys, following every aspect of their life, following their medical records, their jobs, their spouses, interviewing everything, 3 generations of scientists, unimaginable amount of data, all to find what led to a longer, healthier, happier life. And after all of that, they came back with one thing, and it was, and not quantity, but quality, led to a longer, healthier, happier life. And that's the foundational pillar of all 5 blue zones.
What was the craziest thing you saw or heard or experienced in a plant medicine ceremony?
First thing that comes to mind is my first 5-MeO Bufo ceremony.
I'll do it.
That'll do it. And I went in with the intention to really viscerally feel what I call my core wound, or my master program around my mom, my brother, and my sister, and my attachment to them, and thinking I need to support and provide and sacrifice for them. And this was 2.5 years ago. So already well on my journey, knowing this is an educational simulation, knowing everything's a mirror, talking to clients about it. But when it came to my family, there was still, I knew it analytically, but I didn't actually feel it. And did my first round and just fully got lost in bliss and everything and nothing, and just bouncing between timelines and like heavenly. Get out of it, go into the second round. And as I'm inhaling for the second round, I just remind myself of the intention. And I go back into that space and go into like a window and see a whole timeline and out, and a window and see a whole timeline and out. And then I go into a window and I see dim, and then it shatters and I go out. And I had a full on like exorcism. I got out of it. I was shaking. I was throwing stuff off of me. I was like, you're not like, just a total breakdown mentally, like a psychotic break. And luckily, I was in a place where I could take a deep breath and like realize, oh yeah, I knew that. Like, and that just, the whole point is to just be grateful for the moments with them. And I wrote a journal integration after that I still recite every morning to myself to just connect back to that place. But that was, that's the first thing that came up when you asked that question. That was the most like intense thing for my mind to see that, I say they're not real, and people are like, that's harsh. And I know they're real, but I just, for my mind, say it that way. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the human experience to learn about are near-death experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching testimonies, reading about them. And every time they describe that experience, it sounds very much like Bufo to me.
Well, they say that's what our pineal gland produces when we die, right? Dimethyltryptamine. So that's,
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I was watching one actually last night, and I was like, that sounds very familiar. I think one thing that's been good about Bufo for me, and it's been a few years since I've done it, but it definitely lowered the threshold on fear in general about anything and everything, especially dying. Almost like staying here feels harder than being there.
And I've cultivated such a beautiful now relationship with Bufo to the point where I have an incredible pen, and often after my morning practice, I'll do a microdose.
Really?
And just go into a whole somatic practice, because it is wild how much. And at first it was like scary, because it is a very, confronting medicine. But with consistency now, it's like, oh man, I have so much reverence for it and its ability to really just like align me in that moment after my practice, when I've centered, said my purpose, know what I'm for, and like to go in and really just like fully work on, my hips and all the things.
Mm-hmm,
it's been profound for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I've always wanted to find a way to microdose 5-MeO-DMT. The only time I tried was I went to hold space for some friends and had no intention of sitting because I sat pretty like a couple weeks before that. And I tried 4 times that day to do like just a tiny bit. And each time it was a full send and it kept getting fuller and fuller. So I was like, well, I guess, I don't know. I thought I was taking such a tiny amount, and I'd sit back and be like, oh, fuck, here we go, And then each one of the 4, after the first one, I was like, okay, I'm done for today. Like that was a lot. And then I'd be like, well, once it wears off, you feel great. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, that was nothing. So then I would keep going back.
But it's still in you. So that's why, you get kind of like one shot to, that's what I've experienced. Because I'm like, oh yeah, it's done. Let me do another. And it's like, oh no, this is much deeper of a send. Yeah.
But that's intriguing. I would like to learn more about that later. Unlike some of the conversations I have here that, meander into all kinds of different places, you have a very, I know you have a lot of gifts and a lot of stories and things, but you have one particular passion, an area of expertise. So despite my initial question that has nothing to do with that.
It actually has everything to do with that.
Well, okay, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But I really want to focus on the nervous system, on HRV. This is something that I don't know. It's becoming more well known. Thankfully, people are becoming aware of this as a driver of our quality of life. But I think you can never know too much about it. So start out by just giving us a general framework for what heart rate variability is and means, and then we can talk about how you sort of discovered it and became as obsessed as you are.
Absolutely. So HRV, heart rate variability, measures the gap or the variance between each of your heartbeats. And what that gap is telling you is how your heart is perceiving its ever-changing environment. So essentially your relationship to your perceived stress and a direct reflection of the health of your autonomic nervous system and its ability to move from a sympathetic fight or flight state into a parasympathetic rest and digest state. And when I realized that that's what it was measuring, and at that point I was already obsessed with biohacking, obsessed with you, as I've shared, and all the pioneers in that space. And I was an engineer, so I have a very analytical mind that needs to understand how things work. My obsession in longevity had me knowing that science has very much proven that we all age, get disease, and eventually die from cellular inflammation. Like the root cause of everything, unless you die in an accident, if you peel the onion back enough, is cellular inflammation. And the number one cause, the lead driver for cellular inflammation, is chronic stress. Not stress, chronic stress. A prolonged sympathetic high beta state is the number one cause of that cellular inflammation.
That's crazy.
And the reason why...
And everyone's freaking out about seed oil.
Exactly. Which,
Not that seed oils aren't bad. But.
Totally. And the reason for that, because when I realized that, I was like, well, how come chronic stress is the root cause? So to understand that, you need to understand the most intricate system, the autonomic nervous system, which governs 90% of our voluntary and involuntary functions. All of our breath, our heart, our digestion, our reproduction, all those things are governed by this incredible, incredible system. And it operates in 2 states, 2 primary states, the sympathetic fight or flight state and the parasympathetic rest and digest state. The parasympathetic state has 3 different brainwave states, delta, theta, alpha, right? That all are responsible for different things. Delta is sleep, our deepest restorative. And actually, I should also mention they correlate with developmental years as well. And I think that's very important because I'm sure later on we'll be talking about what it is we're projecting in this educational simulation. But that delta state, which is between 0.5 and 4 hertz, is our baseline when we are born till about age 2. Like our brain is really oscillating in delta. Babies are asleep, still very alert, but all the neural pathways in the foundation of their nervous system are actually being built, right? Then the next state in parasympathetic is theta, between 4 and 8 hertz, that meditative Zen-like between conscious and unconscious state that you're hypnotic, very suggestible to everything around you. And that correlates with the ages 2 to 7, known as our formative years, because they quite literally form us, right? During those ages, our brain has that baseline, meaning we're a sponge to everything around us, and our frontal cortex is being developed. meaning we don't have the ability to discern and make decisions ourselves, and we kind of accept reality as it is. So caregivers in those years are so crucial because any reaction, even unintentionally, gets imprinted in our nervous system, right? And the third and final state in parasympathetic is alpha, known as the flow state. An athlete in their zone, you're awake, you're alert, but the mind is focused on one thing, right? And that correlates between the brain waves 8 and 14 hertz. So that's the parasympathetic side. Then we have the sympathetic or fight or flight state. Yeah, this state,
thank God, you don't step in front of a bus.
But if
you can't turn it off after the bus goes by, you got a problem.
And that's what we'll get into now. Why? So first, I wanted to understand, how did we evolve creating this state, right? Because evolution, the most brilliant thing, sole purpose is survival, always happening for us. And we evolved creating this sympathetic state because for most of human evolution, we lived in the jungle. We didn't have the luxury and privilege of these beautiful houses, food, all the things that we need to survive. And there were actual real life or death threats, like tigers or weather or whatever it would be. And so our brilliant nervous system created this sympathetic state for survival. And if you break down what's happening physiologically, when the amygdala fires off and your limbic brain goes on, right, all those vital organs go into a function to support survival. Bunch of things happen. Eyes dilate, saliva production reduces, all these things. But the most important to get to the cellular inflammation is all of the vital oxygenated blood that normally goes to our visceral organs to support their repair, the normal homeostasis of the body. Your blood vessels constrict to send all that blood to the extremities to run, fight, or freeze, which is brilliant if a tiger's chasing you or a bus is coming because you want to jump out of it. That's only supposed to last, or at least used to only last for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. And then we drop back in a parasympathetic state. So all of that vital oxygenated blood can go back to our visceral organs to support homeostasis. However, if you stay in that prolonged state for an extended period of time, known as chronic stress, think about it, then the vital organs cannot do their functions. And consistently doing that over time, cellular inflammation begins, the root cause of all aging, disease, and death. So when I realized that, oh my God, if I read an email and I'm stressed, those same things are happening inside, even though it's not real life or death. Now that's okay if it happens, but if I stay in a story and loop around that from when I wake up in the morning until when I go back to sleep in my deepest delta parasympathetic state, then that's 8, 10, 12 hours of consistent vital oxygenated blood going here instead of going here. And over time, that's what will lead to cellular aging.
Well said.
Yeah.
I think you just decoded the common phrase when someone's afraid. I just shit my pants. I was so scared. Right?
Yeah.
I was also thinking about back in the day, if I was in the middle of a really tumultuous breakup or something like that, my digestion would be wrecked from just living in that state all the time.
Of course, because
why that would be.
Yeah, your digestive system takes a back seat because your mind and body brilliantly thinks it needs to survive. And the body doesn't know the difference between a mind-made stress, a thought, versus what we perceive as a real life threat, right? And so that's why I became so obsessed with HRV when I understood all of that. And I was like, wow, okay, there's a biomarker that's actually telling me if my body is in a prolonged stress, if it's in a sympathetic state, and it's really sharing what is resonant and dissonant with my body. It's also expressing how much am I feeling my body versus up in my head and thinking in my mind.
I recently signed up for this subscription service called Quantum Upgrade, and it's been a major game changer for my energy, EMF resilience, and the overall feeling in our home. Let me explain how it works. Quantum energy is the energy that supports all life in the universe. It's nonlinear, non-local, and has an immense potential for health when it's harnessed and directed to you or into your living environment. Through many years of research and development, Quantum Upgrade created one of the world's most potent sources of usable quantum energy. So when you sign up for their service, Quantum Upgrade associates your home, car, phone, business, and even your pet with this energy. The energy you receive with the Quantum Upgrade is a high consciousness field that you can even customize on the fly. For example, I like to set different booster levels at specific times, such as before a podcast recording or during sleep. It's pretty awesome. The Quantum Upgrade energy streaming service has already been studied and tested by independent institutes, doctors, and labs with phenomenal results in placebo-controlled double-blind studies. It's been shown to improve red and white blood cells and even reverse stages 1 and 2 of blood clotting in only a few minutes. You can try it right now risk-free with a 15-day free trial by visiting quantumupgrade.io. All you got to do is use the code Luke15 to activate your free trial. Again, you'll find it at quantumupgrade.io. You said something very important earlier. When you referred to stress the first time, you said perceived stress.
Mm-hmm.
So break down the difference between factual stress and perceived stress, because I think most of us, myself included, the stress we experience is just a hallucination.
So in the most humble way, I believe, I call this the educational simulation. People call it the matrix simulation.
Yeah.
I know you have been in experiences where you've felt and seen what, God, consciousness, love, Allah, whatever you want to say, source is, that I believe we all come from and go back to, right? And so I call it an educational simulation because I truly believe what we are projecting and co-creating is always happening for us. And it's happening for us to feel something inside that's stuck in us, right? And so I say perceived stress because I believe it's all...
Everything's perceived.
Everything is
all
perceived.
Reality is based on perception.
And I mean, the double slit experiment and the observer effect has...
Explain those. Those are cool.
Yeah. I mean, back, I believe 1805, Neil Young, and it's been further validated by so many scientists since. But essentially, if you...
I thought you just said Neil Young, like the rocker.
Yeah. I may be saying the name.
Neil and Young.
Yeah. They proved that sending a single electron through a double slit, you would expect to see a wave pattern, meaning on the projected screen, you would see like a strong light or a strong display in the middle, and then slowly around each one, it diminishes, right? And that's what they saw. And they wanted to know if that electron was like splitting into, or how it was actually going through that double slit. And the second they put a camera to observe what happens, it stopped behaving like a light particle, meaning it stopped showing that, and it showed as if the electron was going through two slits and made just two single patterns, which means essentially the act of observing, the act of measuring, transforms the particle from a light to material mass. And if you were to look at that on a human scale, right, and we were to break down the most foundational building block of matter, an atom. Within an atom, the only physical material mass is inside the nucleus, and it's the neutrons and the protons. And that consists about 0.000000000, I think, to the negative 15th degree of the entire actual volume of the atom. The rest of the atom is often referred to as an electron cloud, and it's a space of, call it emptiness, right? And electrons flow in that emptiness freely as potential, not like the planets around the sun. There's no orbit. They just flow. And scientists observed and realized that those electrons only appear under the microscope when they put their attention on it. The second they remove it, it goes back into the infinite potential. So if you were to zoom out and look at the actual physical mass in all human beings on Earth, right? From an atom standpoint, there is 70 trillion atoms in a single human cell. There is about 37.2 trillion cells in a human body, and there's over 8 billion humans on Earth. So the math shakes out to about 30 decillion atoms in all human beings on Earth. If we were to only look at the physical mass, that 0.0000001% in every atom in all 30 decillion, we would fit in a sugar cube. To paint a picture at how much what we are actually perceiving just in the human physical form is electrons flowing as infinite potential, only becoming a particle when we put our attention on it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So when you ask the question, perceived stress versus true stress, it's, in my opinion, all always happening for us, and it's our perception that is creating it. And the good news is it's creating it for us to actually feel something inside of us. Because if you were to map out the body, anytime you have a perceived stress or a real stress, whatever you want to call it, beneath that, there's always an emotion or multiple emotions associated with what you're projecting. And directly connected to that emotion is a physical sensation that's stuck in the body. And if you peel the onion one layer deeper, an emotion on a quantum level is just a scalar wave of energy. It's just frequency like everything. There is no such thing as a good or bad emotion. We are meant as humans to feel every emotion on the spectrum. Fear, anger, love, joy, all of it we're meant to feel. And I believe Dr. Joe Dispenza says feel it for about 90 seconds until that scalar wave moves through us. Mm-hmm. However, if the nervous system cannot process that emotion in that moment, or more often than not, we're in those formative years between the ages of 2 and 7, when that brain is oscillating in theta and we don't have the ability to discern reality for ourselves, that scalar wave of an emotion that's supposed to move through you freezes. I like to think of it as a glacier in the fascia in our body. An incredible book, The Body Keeps Score, talks about this, how we are literally, our bodies are an akashic record of all of our stuck, frozen emotions from this life, if you believe in past lives, from past lives. And all we're doing in these grown-up meat suits are projecting these emotions for us to feel them.
You have a great knack for explaining complexity in simple terms.
Thank you.
Going back to the perceived stress, I'm trying to think how I think of this, like lifting weights, getting in an ice bath, doing a sprint. That to me, that would be like objective stress. To many people, being late to a flight would be counted as authentic, objective stress. But in that case, it's still completely based on perception, because one could be late for their flight, and if they have no mental resistance to it, it's not stressful at all. They're just sitting in an Uber having the best time ever. But the mental construct of like, if this doesn't happen, then this bad thing and that bad thing and that, but there's like a cascade of fantasies that we call worry and projection into a future that doesn't exist that creates the stress, but it's only because we're holding it in a certain way. Would you agree with that?
1000%. It's the story. It's our relationship to it that actually materializes it, that creates it. And I believe the most important thing and the best way to support your HRV is auditing your relationships to your stories. Because when we say the observer effect, like our perception creates and materializes a thing, it's our relationship to it that actually is doing that, right? So your relationship...
So a relationship is the governor of our perception.
Yeah. Which is why someone could be late to a flight and have one story that actually causes an internal visceral reaction of stress, where someone else's relationship to it is totally different. And it's a totally different story in the body. Same exact thing, same exact moment, but two different stories, two different relationships to those stories.
Viktor Frankl.
Yep.
Man, search for meaning.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly.
I love this topic because I used to be, oh my God, so tortured by my mind, before I understood anything around this. And things that used to be absolutely terrifying or torturous now are just, it's like nothing, And it's like the same things are happening. I'm the same person, said event, whatever, just name anything that would stress you out or freak you out, like being late to the airport, right? And that gives me a lot of gratitude and hope and self-appreciation, right? That it's like, man, I just applied some things for some time. It's a lot of work. But now I experience the world in a different way.
And so my take on such a beautiful analogy, and just so you know, you and every human being deals with the lovely mind and that journey. That's what we're all here to cultivate a relationship with. But whatever it is that you're thinking that now you experience differently, because of the educational simulation, because of you continuing to experience it and then continuing to use whatever tools you had to regulate, to feel more, the same thing happens, but you have a different relationship to that story. So it doesn't elicit that stuck emotional charge as strong, or that frozen wave actually moved and you got the medicine you needed out of it. Reminds me, you familiar with Wayne Dyer?
Mm-hmm.
Love Wayne Dyer. He has Actually, someone in his audience gifted him this like philosophy that I think also correlates with our chakras, with dimensions, all the things. And it's tell your life story in 5 sentences. Have you heard this?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're going to love this. Chapter number 1. You're walking down a street. You fall into a pothole. Oh my God, I'm in a pothole. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Somebody help me. Chapter number 2. Walking down the same street. You fall in the pothole. Oh my God, who put this pothole here? What? Who did this? Somebody get me out of here. Chapter number 3. You're walking down the same street. You fall in the pothole. Oh my God, how did I fall in this pothole? How did I get here? What did I do to do this? Chapter number 4. You're walking down the same street. You walk around the pothole. And only when you prove to the simulation, you prove to yourself that in the same moment, instead of autonomically reacting from the limbic, scared, stuck emotional state, you made a conscious effort to, with your agency, choose another path. Then comes chapter number 5. You walk down a different street.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I thought 4 was going to be you fall in again, but this time you figure out how to climb out. And then 5, the final one,
You walk around.
it.
Yeah, no. Chapter
Another
4,
street.
which
That's
is
good.
time, the 4th dimension time. And, I believe our aura is a toroidal field. We are toroidal beings. And if there's a hole in your toroidal field, meaning if there's a stuck energy, you keep manifesting, materializing the same pattern and version of this emotion in every flavor of your life, relationship, friendship, business. You'll keep repeating this pattern if you zoom out enough until you actually feel the stuck emotion, until you process it, until you consciously decide to walk around. And then when that hole in your toroidal field is full, there's no vacuum in it to manifest the same thing over and over, you walk down another street.
That's dope.
Yeah.
It works that way a lot in relationship, I've noticed. Like patterns that will keep presenting themselves with different faces and names.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you said, one of those chapters, you realize like, oh, there's one common denominator here. It's the guy in the mirror. This dumbass is the one that keeps, which is a good stage to get to, but still doesn't necessarily stop the pattern, right?
Totally.
But that was always fascinating to me. It's like the educational simulation of Earth School is just set up to keep magnetizing these painful experiences until we are able to freaking learn them.
Yeah. And I mean, pain is such an interesting word because pain is all perception, right? Similar to what you described as like perceived stress. Like that again is your story too. Anytime someone says like pain, my mind goes to the picture of the monk who burned himself. I don't know if you've seen online, if you Google the monk, literally this monk sitting in front of all these people, smiling, burning himself and allowing himself to go because his mental story, and that was his dharmic gift. And I'm not saying people to go do that, but pain truly is a mind-created description of a stuck energy or sensation that we are uncomfortable with feeling, right? And I believe in the educational simulation, we're all mirrors walking each other home because that's what you materialize. And there's no bigger of a mirror than your partner, your soulmate that you get, and your parents. I believe we come here and we choose our parents based on our purpose, based on our soul's journey as the best teachers. And if you're going to pick a teacher, you don't pick a teacher who's going to allow you to just walk through school. You pick a teacher who you're going to get the best medicine from to embody what you came here for.
That's a helpful perspective. Have you heard of Irene Lyons?
Irene Lyons.
She's works with the nervous system in the somatic space, and had her on the show a couple of days ago, and we were talking about this evolutionary aspect of lineage, where to your point of like picking the perfect mirrors, the perfect teachers, the ideal dynamics for your soul's evolution, right? Because we wonder like, God damn it, how did I end up in this family, right? You know what I mean? But I've observed in my lineage that over each generation, they get healthier and healthier and more evolved. And I thought, well, everyone's family lines must be like that. And Irene was like, no, some of them digress, And so I thought it might be some of it might be, a karmic thing where you come into a family system that might be really difficult and there might be a lot of trauma involved in that. But zooming out to a higher perspective, if it is, following the line of improvement along the way, it's like, no, that was, in my case at least, it was actually perfect, because in order for me to carry on that evolution, it had to be worse when I came in, right?
Cool.
And then from my line down, my brother has a couple kids. I mean, he's like a way better parent than our dad was, and so on and so on. It's like when you go backward. But I thought maybe one thing she brought up is maybe the family lines that seem to be in regression could just be newer souls, like a family lineage of newer souls, right? And then you have a family lineage of older souls, and they're still totally screwed up, but they do tend to get a little better. Yeah. What's your take on that, and what you know about your own family line?
Yeah.
Like, are you the first renegade to really like take the bull by the horns and go, I'm going to use this earth school for everything it's got and I'm going to evolve, goddamn it? Or did people in your line before you also make some progress?
I would say every line has made progress, because if it happened, it was
progress.
It was
by default.
By default. And before I go deeper in that, I will just say, in terms of like the lineages that you're saying that go in digression, like I would say that's just the perspective of whoever's seeing that, because the reality is that I believe there's an infinite amount of fractal dimensions. And so there are timelines where it's the opposite. And the only reason we're perceiving it as them digressing is it's actually medicine for us. If it's in our field and we're seeing it, it's always us.
Right.
And so that's there's something in us classifying and labeling that as digression that like is medicine for us. And that's the shift that I look at that. And in terms of my own family line, I mean, that Celestine Prophecy, have you read that book?
Mm-mm.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm aware of it. I mean, I know it's one of the classics, but
it's my favorite book to gift. So you can expect it here. I have your address. It's a fiction book that I think James Redfield just said fiction, so he doesn't get, shit for it, because I believe it's true. It talks about 9 insights that govern this educational simulation. The first insight is there's no such thing as coincidences. There are synchronicities happening in every moment if you are aware and paying attention.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. I read this book when I was 33, at really the beginning, I'd say, of my, inward journey. An insight, I think 6 or 7, was that our souls choose our parents based on our purpose, the thing I shared, right? And when I read that, I got so furious, and I put down the book, and I was like, why the hell? I lost my father when I was 7. I was like, why would I choose a dad who was going to pass if I knew he was going to pass at 7? Like, all I ever wanted was a father, a male figure. Like, that makes no sense. This is bullshit. And I put it down and I went to sleep. And the next morning I got up and I was like, you know what? Let me just bring that to my meditation. Let me zoom out. Let me look at, like you said, the big picture and see what actually has happened. And when I zoomed out, I realized wow, okay. I'm first generation Lebanese. In the Lebanese culture, very patriarchal, very masculine dominant. The oldest male is the one that carries on everything. My dad was the oldest. He made it out of Lebanon, came here, got his PhD, was a pioneer. But also the Lebanese culture, stubborn, and has, things that are dissonant with me now. And I'm the oldest male. So for 7 years, I was raised with that very strong, assertive, stubborn, energy. And then after he passed, I was raised by my mom and my grandma. And it took about 33 years for me to unravel that version of the strong masculine and be the more sensitive, attuned masculine that I am. And as I look at, family members and other, Lebanese families and the typical culture, it is so hard when you're in that energy to get out of that. But because my father passed, I was able to. And it was the first time I was able to not only accept his passing, but appreciate his passing and connect with him now every morning since, because he's so much stronger on that side, and how aligned it was for my dharmic purpose in this chapter to break that lineage and that generation of the masculine and that version of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
very
deep.
Powerful. Yeah.
What about your grandparents in terms of their, I don't know, spiritual acumen or consciousness?
Yeah. Minimal in this kind of, in the way we're talking about. They're very religious, Orthodox Christian is how I was raised. So very, very religious, and yeah, not not open. Yeah.
How common is that in Lebanon? Would that be a minority? I mean, a very wide gap of minority in a Muslim country?
Well, Lebanon is not Muslim.
It's not Muslim.
It's the only in the Middle East of the Arab countries. Yeah, there's about 30% Muslim, but then so much Christian, Catholic, Maronite. It is a melting pot. You have a mosque and a church across each other in Beirut. Beautiful,
That's
diverse country.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've never been to the Middle East in general, so I just like bucketed them all kind of in the same.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So there's a lot of Christians there.
Oh yeah, the whole most of north of Lebanon, which is where my family's from, all Christian.
Really?
Yeah.
What a trip.
Yeah.
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's known as the Paris of the Middle East, Beirut. It's just like, it's the center of the Mediterranean, so it's just a melting pot, and been conquered by France the longest, so everyone there speaks French, English, and Arabic, and like, it's just a melting pot of so much different cultures.
Is it cool?
Oh, it's biasly my favorite place. Yeah.
Should I go someday?
Oh man, I talked to Cal all about
the only other Lebanese I know is Khalil.
Oh, and Khalil's a brother, yeah.
But I don't know, I don't know what his connection is to that land still, if he has one even.
Yeah, no, I've talked to him about going there. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah.
So your Lebanese grandparents were devout Christians and they were religious, but in terms of, dysfunction and trauma and that, the kind of, let's say the downside of Lineage, which as we've discussed isn't really a downside if you look at it the right way.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting better?
Oh, 1000%. Yeah. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that. And that's what I think evolution is here for, to just get a little better every time. Even if someone else is looking at it as a little worse, like my guess is if you actually look inside, it somehow, something is better.
Do you think as a collective, humanity, in terms of spirituality, consciousness, is evolving over time?
1000%, yes. And from my perspective and the reality that I am living in, amplifying it, right? And people talk so much about, AI this, like, where's the world going? What's going to happen? And like, again, I truly believe there's an infinite fractal amount of dimensions. And based on our purpose, based on our intention, based on our frequency and emotional state and what we're putting out there, we consciously choose which one we go in. So there's a utopia, there's a, apocalypse, there's everything in between that you can think of. And you consciously choose based on your intention and thought in every moment, which one you want to join. Now, that doesn't mean bad things are happening in the world, but my belief on that is it's to wake people up, right? And that doesn't mean it's okay, but feeding into the cycle of the hate and the separation only amplifies it. And the best way, I got, during a recent trip, I was sharing that I've been the past 2 years traveling to a lot of sacred sites. And one of my favorite and most profound activations and journeys was at the portal of Amaramutu. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's known as the oldest Lemurian stargate. It's in Lake Titicaca on the Peru side, at the border of Peru and Bolivia. And I did this ceremony there, and profound in terms of the information. I love going to sacred sites because there's so much information there. If you listen, and usually do some journey, usually with psilocybin, to just listen in deeper. And I got visited by a Lemurian, by a Mu, during it, and I got like the most simple lesson that like has just stuck with me so deeply. Someone else in the group was going through a challenging experience, and my default is, supporter, always analyzing, looking at the room, seeing I could help, seeing, efficient, all the things, wanting to help. It's been something, in my earlier years, I used that power and aggression too much, and have been continuing to cultivate a relationship of, of supporting in a way that can be received. And in this moment, I was, on my medicine, and I was wanting to go support. And all of a sudden I get visited by this beautiful being. And they basically just say, who do you think you are that you know what is best for her? And actually, she is going through this for you. This is you. So you should thank her for what she's doing. And instead of going to say or do something, embody what you want her to feel. Be the thing that you want her to do. And that's the best way to actually help anybody, because anybody is just a mirror and a reflection of you. And so to truly embody the change you want to be in the world, because that's how we change the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish people out protesting knew that.
Yeah.
Oh man, a lot of wasted energy trying to change the world out there through being out there,
Yeah, and there's a time and place for that. And like I always look at the example of like Martin Luther King, right? And like what he did, and he used anger so beautifully, because anger is a beautiful emotion, to fuel it. But the thing that he said in the protest is, don't hit back, right? Don't fight them with what they're fighting. And that, I mean, according to Dr. David Hawkins and, the scale of consciousness, I think we went up, I forget how many points in the book he talks about power force from that movement right there, humanity as a whole, right? Yeah. I light up even saying that because of really going about to change a system in a new way, as Buckminster Fuller says.
And not to disparage on, freedom fighters out there. When I'm talking about protesting, it's more like, the left versus right. Like false paradigms of people fighting against the wrong enemy, because we're manipulated and pitted against one another, with the emotional manipulation. And I think that's where a lot of the energy is wasted when, I always say, like, if you want to change the world, make up with your grandma,
It's literally with my clients.
The work that I've done that no one has seen, I'm certain has contributed more to the collective and, the peace on earth than anything I could do by running down the street and trying to change it, I
could not agree more, my brother.
All right, so the holidays are coming, which means plenty of gatherings, dinners, and toasts. But what happens when you love being social, but you're not loving alcohol or what it does to you the next day? Now, as an admitted former boozer, I know my whiskey. I know the texture, the warmth, and the ritual of mixing up a drink. But I also know what it feels like to wake up groggy, dehydrated, and a little anxious about shit I said or did the night before. That's why when I want a cocktail these days, I reach for St. Oak from Little Saints. St. Oak's a zero-proof whiskey that tastes like the real thing. Warm rye spice, bourbon sweetness, notes of oak and caramel, but with a functional twist. Little Saints is the only non-alc whiskey enhanced with reishi, lion's mane, and damiana. Reishi helps you relax, lion's mane sharpens focus and clarity, and damiana adds a smooth social lift. So together, they create that easy, connected feeling alcohol promises but rarely delivers. To get your drink on, visit littlesaints.com/Luke and use the code Luke to save 20% off your first order. This season, it's all about showing up fully. Clean energy, clear head, and an open heart. Because the best nights are the ones you can actually remember. Go to littlesaints.com/Luke and don't forget to use that code Luke. Talk to me about, so getting back to the HRV. So, this is all related anyway, right? Yeah. But, there's different ways that you can measure it. So if people listening are like, oh, am I parasympathetic or sympathetic? And, is my trauma still living in my body, those scalar waves of emotions in my fascia? If we want to improve something, some of us, you're the engineer mind, right? Like, and I'm a little bit like that. I want to track things and see if what I'm doing is working, right? Yeah. Not to use it as, a higher power, but just a point of reference to know if I'm kind of anywhere in the ballpark. So take us back to, as you started to learn about HRV and became interested in improving yours and healing your nervous system. What did you use to track it? What's accurate? What's not? What kind of changes have you seen or did you start to see? And then we can talk about some of the things that, help those changes happen.
Totally. Yeah. So in terms of measuring HRV, again, if it's measuring that gap or variance between each of your heartbeats, that is changing over 40 to 60 to 80 times a minute because your heart beats that many times a minute, right? So your real-time HRV is forever fluctuating and changing and is going to go like that's what it's supposed to do, right? You want malleability so that your heart can handle and manage the ever-changing environment it's perceiving. What most wearables like Oura Ring, Apple Watch, Whoop give you is your average nightly HRV, meaning the average variance between every heartbeat while you are sleeping, right? Now, HeartMath Institute and other researched institutes have said the gold standard for measuring your HRV is first thing in the morning when you wake up sitting up, because your HRV also differs from laying down and sitting up, the nervous system. But in order to do that, you either need a chest strap or there are phones now that allow you to just measure your HRV with your finger. The next best, I believe, way to measure is that average nightly, because that's giving you a good pulse when there's not much simulation happening, you're sleeping, of the overall health of your nervous system and what you did the day before, right? And the best wearable to measure, I say, is the one that you'll actually use consistently. Because in terms of the accuracy for this number, it fluctuates so much. It's not about knowing the exact number. It's about understanding what I call your HRV baseline. And I define your HRV baseline as your average nightly HRV score, or if you measure it first thing in your morning, your average daily HRV score over the last 30 days. And this gives you a good snapshot of the overall health of your nervous system and how it's been feeling with what you've been doing over the last month, right? And the best way I like to think of HRV, I say HRV is a language. It's the language of your nervous system communicating to you between those gaps in your heart. And when you think of a language, you don't think English is better than French, is better than Spanish, is better than Arabic, right? The whole intent of a language is for an ecosystem to communicate. The whole intent of your HRV is for your nervous system and body to solely communicate with you. So the first thing you need to do, which I was very bad at, and most people, especially in the biohacking world, are, is not compare scores, because it is such a unique language only for you. And your 35 could be better than my 100 for your body. There is no HRV range published, even the Heart Math Institute, because there is no range. There's studies that show, like, we studied 2,000 people and this is the age for this range, but who are the 2,000 healthy people they studied? Like, there's no published range, like heart rate between 40 and 60 or whatever they say. There's nothing like that for HRV because it is so uniquely individualized, right? So what do you look at then? You look at your baseline and compare your morning score to your baseline. And over time, ideally, say your baseline maintain or go up. Because the one thing that has been proven, and we talked about, is as you age, HRV generally declines, which makes sense. If it's measuring the health of your nervous system and the amount of stress you're taking, as we age, we go through a lot. And by default, we are going to slowly, it's going to slowly decline. However, I have seen in myself and so many people, the opposite happening if you train it, which we'll get into the different ways to do that. So if you wake up and you have an HRV score, your baseline is 40 and your morning score is 30. That's not a good or bad thing. That doesn't mean, oh my God, this is so bad. It is data. It's a language. What matters is if you listen. That means if your morning score is lower than your baseline, honor your body by having more of a recovery day. Instead of doing a HIIT workout or an extreme thing, go for a leisurely walk. Do something that you know resonates and fills up your body to support the nervous system and whatever load you did the day before, that's more of a load than it's used to. If you wake up and your morning score is higher than your baseline, that's your nervous system giving you permission to push it more, because that's how you increase the capacity. You train.
So if it's not apples for apples from one person to another, which I'm really glad to hear, because I hear people like you, like, oh, my HRV is 150. And I'm like, dude, I don't know any other people that commit to health like I do, or very few of them. And mine will be like 35 or 40, and when I first kind of heard other people's numbers, I thought, wow, what am I doing wrong? So that's really good to know. What I want to know is how meaningful is the spread, say, between 45 and 35? I think we looked at mine on my Oura Ring app, and as basically for the past few years, like somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah.
A slight dip over time, but is one night, one morning you wake up and you're a 45 that much more meaningful than a 35?
Again, that's going to be so dependent on the person.
God damn
and
it.
What normally happens.
I want something binary.
I know, but with this, and that's why I love this biomarker, because I call it a technology and a bridge between East and West. Because like you mentioned, like a decade ago, 6 years ago, my engineering analytical mind, I couldn't feel, I needed numbers. I needed to know. And when I realized, oh, this biomarker is the number one metric, in my opinion, for longevity, I'm just going to put all my attention on this.
Didn't you work at a nuclear power plant?
Yeah. Yes, I did for 5.5 years. That powered most of New York City. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense.
That would make a lot of sense. And so when I started first trying to improve my HRV, I did it the way I was doing everything, biohacking, hacking it, and I did not see it move. And it wasn't until I started the journey from here to here, the inward journey, the plant medicines, the somatic, the prioritizing parasympathetic and recovery, as much as my mind thought I needed to always optimize, perform, and go, that I started seeing it move. And the biggest step changes in my own HRV and any clients has always been what you so beautifully shared: your grandma, the mom, the stuck emotion, the like strong core belief or pattern that you feel and you process, that gives way for your nervous system to be more fluid and clear. Oh, hands down. I'm gonna say a score. Remember, no comparing. My highest HRV score, 222. And it was
What?
It was the day after my most profound ayahuasca ceremony that I processed such a core wound on. And it was, I call it the Aya Glow, but I was fucking floating. 222. Yeah.
I got a funny one for you. Back when I was, more in the tinkering and experimenting phase many years ago, during the middle of an ayahuasca ceremony, I did a HRV test for an hour or two or whatever. You can on the Aura Ring, you can set like a meditation or a workout or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I'm so deep in this space. I bet it's gonna be really high. It was like fucking 10 or something. I was like almost dead. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it made sense because the stress on your body when you're in that experience. Totally. But my consciousness and, emotionally, I felt so elevated. I thought, for sure, man, I'm like so balanced and parasympathetic. But the body was like, no, this is kind of hard.
Well, and again, that just goes back to like the real time doesn't matter as much. It's going to. And maybe in that time, you were just going through, it's the baseline and the overall trend. Like, so 2 years ago when I had a shoulder surgery, going into the surgery, I was like, I'm going to get my body in the best shape possible for it. Doing all the things, like colonic before everything. The morning I woke up for the shoulder surgery, my HRV was 150. The next day, 8. 8. Oh yeah.
Wow.
8. Because I had a pain blocker in, I had 2 titanium, like my nervous system had just been through hell. And it was screaming 8, and it stayed 8, 10 for like a week, and then slowly over time. But and I share that because mine doesn't just stay above 100. It'll go to 30. It'll change all over. And it's more important to track your baseline trend over time and just listen. If you think you have a bad score, you need to be better. Guess what? You're leading to your next bad score because it is measuring how you're perceiving the simulation. And our thought dictates how we perceive it more than anything. Our relationship to the things we're doing is what dictate it more than anything. So it's a very like counterintuitive, objective, but subjective metric that's why I love it so much because it is a bridge, I believe, between the two worlds.
There's so many catch-22s in the human experience.
Well, I mean, it's dualistic reality. It's all a cosmic joke.
That's everything's paradox.
Yep.
When you boil it down.
Yep.
It's crazy. I was kind of hoping, you're like, I brought my score from an average of 36 to 1, whatever, by doing these biohacks. And you're telling me, oh, it's just like emotional, ancestral healing and trauma stuff. I'm like, I already did all that. So I think, but, maybe, actually, let's talk about, like, I don't know, I don't have a better way to phrase it, but, biohacking obsession or addiction and like orthorexia and all of the like uptight control around optimizing, performing that some of us, never me, of course, some of us have gotten stuck in, and how, maybe some of the things we're doing for vitality and longevity are actually causing more stress because of the constraint around them.
I was, Luke, the most guilty of that. And I think I shared with you before, but I would literally every week go on your shop page to see what the new toy that you talked about came out. So I could go, I was so obsessed with biohacking when it first came out. And to get a little into the story, I worked at that nuclear power plant as an engineer for 5.5 years. I really became obsessed with health and nutrition at that time and experimented with every diet and found ketosis like 15 years ago before the industry totally ruined that word, and cut out sugar completely. Because
Do you still not eat sugar?
No, I eat whole sugar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I eat intuitively now. I used to be the most regimented, extreme. Like that's
a hard way to live.
Oh yeah, Cal and I bond deeply over that because we have similar minds like that. And so all I drink was water and unsweetened tea while I was at the power plant. And that's when a colleague of mine who was health conscious came in one day with yerba mate, but he had brewed it, cooled it, and put it in a soda stream. And so it was the first sparkling tea. And I took a sip and it was like love at first sip. And I was wanting to leave corporate America and really into health. And it aligned so well. And so 11 years ago, we launched Sound, which is an unsweetened sparkling tea company. Have no idea what we were getting into. Quit the job, moved to New York City. And that's when the biohacking movement emerged. And you and Dave Asprey and Ben Greenfield and all these people started coming out. And I was so addicted to optimization and health and optimizing my body that I just went down deep rabbit holes in everything, to the point where I was living in New York City, showing off I was hacking my way to 5 hours of sleep. Newcom, a big part of that, which we'll talk about. Running 10 miles every other day, listening to a minimum of 3 audiobooks a week, raising money from 170 people, just boom, 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 thinking I am winning, right? 5 years of doing that. And then my knee gave out from running way too much, running 10 miles at like literally every other day, 70 minutes. So 7-minute miles too.
10 miles is like farther than here to Austin, downtown Austin.
Yeah, no, it was
I don't even like driving that far.
And so when my knee gave out, I was so addicted to the endorphin release of sweating. I needed to find a way to sweat. And I looked every possible way without a knee. And I came across Bikram yoga. And that was the first time my mind was forced to shut the fuck up for 90 minutes. And that's when Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, came into my field. And that's actually the preface. In the beginning of that book, he talks about HRV relating to stress. And that was the first time in literature I saw that. And that was really the beginning of this journey. And so to get back to your question, I was like, okay, I only care about this metric. What can I do to optimize it? And I tried hacking with all the technologies, and for about 6 months, it didn't move. And then I started shifting that relationship. And now I have what I call the 5 pathways for HRV growth, which really go along with my story of how I saw mine continue to improve. And so the first pathway is sleep, the foundation, right? And again, we talked about sleep being our deepest parasympathetic state of delta. And if HRV is measuring your ability to go from one state to another, and you're not getting your deepest restorative sleep, the REM sleep as well, which I was cutting out in my 5 hours of only sleeping, you're not going to see that move no matter what. And so that was the first like big shift for me in seeing a little bit of a movement. So sleep as the foundation and prioritizing sleep. And I know you talk about it all the time, and there's so many ways out there, but really making it, an intentional activity that is something sacred for your body is super, super important.
The thing about sleep, I think it's just a tougher sell for younger people, because well, at least you think you can coast when you're in your 20s, even into 30s. I mean, dude, I used to be extremely sleep deprived and it was no problem. I'm 55 now as of a week ago.
Oh, happy belated.
Thank you. And so now it's like, it's really easy for me to be a sleep champion, because if I don't pay attention to it and really honor it as sacred as you described, it's just, the price is,
amplified.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I was very guilty of that. And, the saying, plenty of time to sleep when you die, and especially as an entrepreneur, it's like, oh my God, if I'm not productive, if I'm not doing something, then I'm not being productive. Right. So that was the first.
All right, here's the difference between supplements that work and ones that end up in your toilet. While most big brands are built on marketing, Bioptimizers is built on biology. These guys are scientists and biohackers obsessed with results you can actually feel. They focus on optimizing digestion, sleep, energy, and recovery. And that's why they've been one of the longest and most trusted brand partners on this show for years. Now, I'm sure a lot of you already use Bioptimizer, so if you're going to stock up, now is the time. It's Black Friday and Cyber Monday, your chance to save big on supplements you're going to use all year. And here's a quick lowdown. Magnesium Breakthrough packs all 7 forms your body needs to relax your nervous system, calm stress, and support deep restorative sleep. And then, of course, is my favorite, Masszymes, a full-spectrum enzyme blend that breaks down proteins, fats, and carbs so you absorb more nutrients and leave less waste. I think of it as a digestive performance upgrade. Now, starting November 23rd, Bioptimizers is offering 25% off their entire product line. Plus, orders over $250 come with free gifts like oil diffusers and blue light blocking glasses. So head to bioptimizers.com/Luke to save 25%. Oh, and heads up, don't sleep on their probiotic breakthrough. It's a super potent, acid-resistant probiotic that restores microbial balance and supports clean, steady energy all day long. One more time for the kids in back, that's bioptimizers.com/Luke, where you will get 25% off site-wide through December 3rd, 2025.
Pathway number 2 is hormetic stress, which hormetic stress is the process of intentionally putting yourself in a perceived stressful situation and then consciously getting yourself out of it into a parasympathetic state. So working out the nervous system. I say training to be an emotional athlete, training the capacity and malleability of that system. And this is where biohacking was so helpful for me, because most of us don't have an issue putting ourselves in a stressful state. We're in it all the time, right? I was very guilty of not completing the circle and getting my body back into a relaxed parasympathetic state unless I go to sleep. And this is where NuCalm became the biggest game changer for me, because they say, NSDR, non-sleep deep rests or power naps or some way during the day to intentionally put yourself in a parasympathetic state is crucial for improving your HRV and increasing the capacity of your nervous system. The analogy I give, which I think you talked about a little bit, like when you go to the gym and you lift weights for your bicep, you're intentionally lifting more than you can, and you're actually tearing the muscles in that bicep, right, to increase its ability to handle more. But what do you do the next day? You don't lift on that. You allow it to recover. You allow it to heal so that when you go back the following day, you can lift more weight. Same thing with the nervous system. You need it to go like this in order to see the trend go up. So I kept myself for the next 5 years in arguably, some would say, the most challenging industry, beverage space, raising money from the 170 people, fully operating it. But I would intentionally multiple times throughout the day, non-negotiable minimum 20-minute power nap with NuCalm. You're going to love this. I had a beamer. I had a hydrogen inhaler. I would stack it in the 20 minutes. Literally, people called it the Salim. And I think I got a lot of it from you, to be honest. People call it the Salim.
That's a really good strategy. If you're going to spend 20 minutes of your day doing something and there's 5 things that are compatible, why not do them all at once?
Especially when you have NuCalm getting you in a parasympathetic state, because it just exponentially enhances the effects of all the other things.
I never thought about that.
Oh, yeah. Because when you're in that parasympathetic state, more blood is flowing everywhere, more oxygen, all the things. So the PMF, the hydrogen, everything. I had a nano V, I had all the things, hyperbaric, sauna cold plunge, contrast therapy, you name it. I did every hack. My home was known as the biohacking home when I moved to Venice throughout the day. And that is how I took my baseline of 30 up to above 150 by putting myself in the most stressful situation, but training to continue to go boom, 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 right? That for me was the biggest change. And what's crazy now is my baseline isn't as high as it was back then, but because I'm not in as stressful a state, right? And I'm okay with that. I know I don't need the highest baseline. I'm happier now than I was then. But it's crazy as I look back on it and as I was creating my course, it's like, oh man, I used to have a higher baseline. Why? And I'm like, oh, of course, because I was actually training harder back then than I need to train now.
That's interesting because, as I was telling you earlier, I'm a little disappointed to not really see a lot of upward movement on my HRV baseline. I'm like, oh man, I do all these things. But when I started tracking it was 2018, and I'd already been doing all this stuff for a good 10 or more years, right? So I can't really get an accurate trajectory because I can't go back far enough. I don't have the data that shows when my average was 10 or something when I was a total train wreck.
Yeah.
So that feels better. The stress, the intentional hormetic stress thing is really interesting because I've noticed over the years of doing cold plunges that, now it's like nothing getting in there. If it's really cold outside, it's a little harder, I'll admit. But if it's warm outside, which it usually is in Austin, I get in there, it's like I don't even notice. I'll be in there for a couple minutes, going like, oh yeah, I'm in here. There's no like hyperventilating or anything like that, right? I've just acclimated to it. And I swear, I think I told Irene Lyons this too. You can never prove anything that's totally subjective, but I think my adaptability to external perceived stress has gotten much higher over the years from just doing that. From just learning how to not freak out when my nervous system is thinking it's going to die, just over and over again, training myself to just be calm when something happens. And sometimes It's like I'm so, not always. I mean, I worry about shit. I'm stressed out as fuck right now trying to get my book done, as you know. So it's not like I don't have any stress, but I'm talking about just being triggered by stuff and freaking out and being like pummeled into fight or flight. Not much does that to me anymore. And that used to be something that I had zero defense over, just being late to the airport. Back to that example. I mean, I would just completely lose my shit. And now things like that happen. And I notice I'm just kind of, And sometimes it's annoying to other people even, because if they're panicked and I'm not, it's annoying to them. They're like, dude, join my nervous system in this panic. And I'm like, I literally can't fake it.
Yep.
I'm not worried about it. And part of that is just surrender and trust and just living enough years where things that I thought were, the end of me, just the worst thing that could ever happen. And then some time goes by and you see like, oh, this, as you said, the synchronicity. I go, oh, of course that happened. It was the best thing ever. It hurt, but ultimately it served me. So I kind of see life in real time more like that. So if there's like a trigger or something, something that would have been disappointing or concerning, it's like, the minute I see that contraction or the mind making a story about it, it's like, no, I'm not grabbing that story.
Totally.
I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what this actually means in the long run. And then sure enough, every time I don't get my way or something bad happens, it's like, hindsight, you go, thank God that thing didn't happen,
And I would say just to you, I know you're questioning your score between 30 and 40, not seeing it go up. To me, and I've had people they're like, what do you think? It's also HRV, just a number. And I care more about how you feel and how you're living your life. And to hear you say that, like, you don't allow things like that to get you in a sympathetic state and to get all the visceral things happening internally is more important than having a high HRV score. Because remember, the whole whole reason why I can't access is because I just don't want all of that vital oxygen going away from here. So if you are doing that, then again, your score of 35 is just as good for you as my score of 150. I just was in a much higher stress environment during that time, right?
Totally.
So that's why you don't compare. You just go by how you feel.
Compare and despair, just like everything else.
Exactly. And I so resonate with the cold plunge. I mean, I every day did it and then I wouldn't. And I got to a place that actually started getting psychedelic. I'd do it for 5 minutes and only take 14 breaths in it. Really just like slow down. And that just kept increasing my malleability and resilience of the nervous system.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, back when I first got into it, I wanted to impress people. So I'd stay in there a really long time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, me too.
One time I stayed in there. No one was even watching, but I was like, how long can I do this? I stayed for, I think 20 minutes or something. And it didn't feel safe. Like I got out and I was like, I don't think I'm okay. Actually, I couldn't drive or anything. I was maybe getting like toward hypothermia. And now it's kind of like people, what diet are you on? Or how long do you stay in the cold plunge? I'm like, I have no idea. Like not very long usually. Long enough where I know I'm totally relaxed. Yep. And then that's when I go, okay, well, I'm good. That's what I was trying to achieve, was just to be completely like gummy, listless in there, like I'm sitting in a hot tub.
So to me, it sounds like you already have what I believe the point of being aware of HRV and this metric and this language is to listen to your body, because the body is the most sacred, intuition is your body, right? Like, and it is a temple that can heal itself if you just listen. And for me, HRV was a biomarker that allowed me to start to listen. I think it's such a cool technology for the West, for people who are very much in here to support that journey. But when you can listen, that's all you need to do. Like so many different diets out there, so many different, like in a world where we're inundated with information, right? Which is an incredible gift. What resonates for your body? Because just because this diet works for this person, we are all so unique and we co-create this simulation based on our relationship to it. And so your upbringing, your epigenetics, your ancestors, all those things go into it. You should choose to do things that resonate with your relationship, and HRV is reflecting your relationship with it, right?
That's epic.
So
it's the language, it's not the message. Like the message is your body, and the HRV is a language that you can learn.
It's the signal. I call it the compass.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's cool. That's a neat way to think about it, because I'm always weary of putting too much emphasis or dependency on technology and just input and tracking. I mean, I've gotten so lost in it in the past that I think just intuitively, I've learned how to just kind of listen to my body. Just like I'm cranking away on this deadline, right? And the other day, and I'm going for hours and hours and hours a day. I mean, I don't know where the energy is coming from, but it's showing up somehow. And there was a day a week ago, and I was just smoked, dude. I was so tired, and I had a whole plan. Like today, I'm going to get this done and that done, and my body just was like, "No, dude, you're going to lay around all day and not do anything." And I don't want to say it made me. I chose to listen to it, but it was very clear the body was like, "We're done. We need a break," you know. But there was many years where I never listened. You know, I just power through and be like, "No," you know. It's like other people are more productive, or I need to make money, or whatever it might have been. You know, it's really nice to actually just go, "Hey, man, thank you."
Yep.
Finally learning to listen to this thing a little bit better. You know,
Man, yeah.
You're one of the few people I know that really gets the relevance and power of Newcom. It's something I talk about on the show a lot. I've had Jim, you know, our mutual friend of ours, on the show a number of times, and it's just like I can't emphasize it enough. I don't think where it lands with people. They think it's, I don't know, like Headspace or like some meditation app. I'm just like, dude, Newcom has been, and they're not paying me to say this. It sounds like a real forced testimonial, but it's been like one of my top 5 things for many, many years, probably since, I don't know, 2018 or something. I mean, just non-negotiable almost every single day. And, you know, the focus tracks when I really need to like be present. And then those power naps, man, the 20 minute, 40 minutes, sometimes 90 minute, using them on flights.
Oh my God.
There is nothing that resets me like a Newcom.
Man.
It's just insane. But I don't know. I don't meet many people that get it. I tell all my friends about it and they're just like, oh, whatever. I'm like, dude, all you got to do is have this fucking app and some headphones and an eye mask, and like your life will change so freaking dramatically.
I love hearing this because I don't meet many people who get it that way too. And it is single-handedly the number one thing that I've used consistently over the last 8 years, almost daily, if not at least 5 times a week. That has been the biggest mover on my quote unquote HRV and nervous system. It's the only thing I talk about in my course as the brand. And the reason is because it is the only patented technology guaranteed to get your body in a parasympathetic state without the use of any external substances, because it uses binaural beats. Binaural beats is a phenomenon that's been around forever that is essentially taking 2 different frequencies in each ear, and your brain gets confused and chases the delta. So it's a way to guide your brain into a desired brainwave state. And we talked about those parasympathetic states. Now, you could YouTube and go look at binaural beats, but what makes Newcom so unique and different is because 2 decades, the best sound engineers and neurosciences, that they don't just go, for example, 16 hertz one ear, 10 hertz in the other ear, your brain goes to 6. They start out the first 10, 12 minutes of the track at the high beta state, slowly going from maybe 16 to 14 to 13 to 12, guiding you into a 6. And then when you get to 6, they oscillate it in a pattern that your brain can never actually recognize.
Yeah.
And that's why we could do it so consistently for 8 years.
Yeah, dude.
It works every time. And it's, again, hormetic stress, the pathway we're talking about. You need to be able to dip in. And I could not dip in the middle of a workday. It would be impossible for me to shut off my so obsessive extreme mind. That when I listened to my first Newcom track, I will never get it, in New York City at my friend's gym downstairs, I got out of it and I was like, I need to know the founders. I need to find, and I somehow manifested Jim and David a week later. Like, it was wild. And I met them and I was a little kid and I was like, let me know. I'll help you raise money. I'll do it. Like, I need to be able this. I got to taste what being in that theta parasympathetic state is for the first time. It took me at the time, that's when they had the CES machine, the much older version, all the things. It took the full like 90 minutes for me to get there. But when I finally did, I was like, oh, this is what people are talking about. I need this so that I could come out and be sustainably productive. I could be clear. I can actually do things more efficiently in my time. And I mean, Jim is a brother of mine. He's the one that actually originally connected us, knowing that we would back when you were in California, but I wasn't living there and we were never able to connect. But yeah, I cannot stress Newcom enough. I share it with everyone, every client, all my family members. Planes, the only thing I listen to on a plane. If you're pregnant, kids, it's impossible that people are like, can I do it too much? No, you can't do it too much because most of us can use being in that parasympathetic state. And now they have, you said, the flow state, the ignite, all those other tracks to get you in different. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I always listen to the sleep ambiently.
Oh, you do?
I do. I love it. I love it.
You know, I haven't really tried that in a consistent way because I always fall asleep to podcasts. It's just back in my 20s when I was doing a lot of stimulants, the only way I could come down or fall asleep was like listening to Howard Stern. So Howard Stern would come on at 3 a.m, and I wasn't going to bed at 3, but the show would start over at 6 a.m. So I would maybe catch like some of the feed, 4 or 5 or something, and then it would start over at 6. And then like after the 6 o'clock restart on the West Coast, I would eventually fall asleep. And I did that for years. I don't suggest that to people, but I think that's where I train my brain to where talking makes me go to sleep. So I wanted to do the new calm thing, but I'm like, I need someone talking. That's what puts me back to sleep.
You know what you can do?
What?
You could do both, because you could just have the new calm playing and maybe it'll help you sleep. But it sounds like you don't have an issue sleeping. But if you need the talking, you could still have the talking.
Oh, totally, dude. I could have like an iPad with the new calm going and then have my podcast of choice, which in this case was one that you were on last night.
Oh, thank you.
I always listen to all the podcasts of guests to make sure I don't just say the same shit over and over again. And to learn about their life, That's how I knew you worked at a power plant. I knew you were Lebanese. I would have said I knew you grew up in New York, but I can tell because you don't say the. You say duh.
Yep. Oh yeah, that New York accent is
I heard that. I was like, that's so interesting. I wonder if he can say the if he really tries.
No.
Can you make that sound? The?
The.
Oh, okay. But it would be labored.
It would be very labeled. Duh is what comes out.
Yeah, duh.
That, this, that.
Yeah, the nervous system.
The nervous system.
The nervous system, Forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we were on three.
Pathway number 3, which is one that we've been talking about the entire time.
Okay. While we're on 3 of like external inputs, what do you think of the Apollo? I'm wearing the Apollo here. Yeah. It ran out because it was only on 60 Minutes, but I love this thing for it's one of the stacks, right? So I'm at my computer, I put on the Focus one, I put on the Focus New Calm. It's like, I'm going to be sitting there anyway, so I just do all the things. But this is one I really like, with the exception of, each journey is only so long, and I turn it on airplane mode so I don't get the Bluetooth, and then I have to go put it on the charger to like return it on. So I wish it would just go for 8 hours.
Totally. Well, now you could have a playlist.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Dave, they've been improving it. So literally, that's what I do. You could stack and put the ones you want, so it keeps going.
Thank you, Apollo. I had no idea. When apps, update, I never really, I'm just like, they changed the design.
They've done a lot of really cool things with it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I got turned on to it through you, and I've had it for 8 years, and it has also been a consistent thing. And when I do my 20-minute stack, I have the Recover. I have it on my legs, on Recover. I love it for sleep, and I love it for traveling. That is like my 2 favorite things. I had it on before coming here. I didn't bring it. But yeah, big fan. And again, HRV is measuring how you're perceiving this simulation. How do we perceive it? Through our senses, through our taste, through our touch. This is touch, vibration, right? And they have studies showing how this supports HRV training because of what you can do in really dropping your body in a stressful state out of it through touch and through vibration. So big fan. They're actually going to be a part of the course offering as well. So love them. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else in 3?
No, that was 2. Hormetic stress.
That was 2.
Yeah. I mean, there's contrast there. Hormetic stress is everything. These pathways.
So 2 is hormetic stress, but I skipped ahead and went into the new calm and Apollo.
Well, that's 2. So new calm is part of hormetic stress because it's the other side. It's getting your body in a parasympathetic state.
Okay, got it.
So hormetic stress and the 5 pathways, again, they're not. There's not a single way to do them. You need to practice them in your unique way. So whatever sleep looks like, whatever hormetic stress looks like. Some people it's cold plunging, contrast therapy. Some people it's running and HIIT training and then recover. Whatever that looks like for you, but honoring that pillar and foundation to improve your HRV is what I found for me.
What about in the 2 phase?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've looked into this, but something I got into probably about a year ago was CO2 therapy. There's, one of them is this inhaler where
I've used it.
It's oxygen and CO2, and then there's this freaking suit. It's like a big Michelin Man suit.
It too. Yep. My buddy's got it.
You fill that shit up with CO2.
Yep.
Dude, it is so relaxing. It's like taking a Valium. I mean, it's legit. I don't do it as much as I would like to because it's kind of a process, and you got to walk around as the Michelin Man, but if ever I'm like super freaked out and stressed, I'll inhale that for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then put that CO2 suit on and just lay there for 2 hours with a new calm.
Oh man,
It's good night.
it's
Like
bliss.
you're out.
Man.
So, but I think, like the thing about CO2, it feels stressful. I don't know if it is scientifically, but it feels like a hormetic stress because you're like,
it absolutely
you're
is.
gasping for oxygen. But then once it's over, it's like, oh my God, it's so relaxing.
Well, that's hormetic stress at its finest. And it is hitting the most ancient limbic stress state. Oxygen, CO2, deprivation of oxygen and CO2. It is the one thing James Nestor Breath talks about. Like they've done studies. Nothing scares our limbic reptilian brain more than CO2.
Oh.
Right. And so it is, I mean, this past year, I actually, I trained for the first time with a dear brother, Rodo, who has Alchemy Rewired, and he's an ex-professional free diver. And free diving, and the way he broke down, he thinks very similarly to what I do about the nervous system. And he cured his neurodivergent schizophrenia through basically CO2 retention, breath work, and free diving.
Wow.
And I went with him to Tulum, and he gave me a training. And I mean, water drowning is my biggest fear. I feel like in a past life I've seen, and I went scuba diving and went through caves, and holy shit, I have never been more fucking scared or stressed in my life, but then have never been more exhilarated, and my HRV skyrocketed after, because if you think of it, it is literally all other stuck stories, fears, emotions. This is hitting your oldest one, and just like a drain hose, freaking pushing all that other stuff out. Incredible CO2 retention and work for hormetic stress. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else at that level?
I mean, we could list all the things that you do.
What about breath work?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I don't really like talk about that much because it feels so played out at this point. But looking back, it has been extremely helpful at times.
I mean, breathwork is the freest and most reliable way to practice hormetic stress. And I've been really the past year getting obsessed and loving all the different breathworks, whether it's my friend Rodo and his Alchemy Rewire. I've recently trained with a dear friend of mine, Brian, who's a breathwork facilitator, and he taught me these 10 Tibetan movement breathworks that I'm on day 53 in a row doing in the morning.
Was it the Tibetan rites?
No, I do those every morning. I've done those for 10 years. I love those 5 Tibetan rites. Those are the movements.
Oh, yeah, there's 5. Yeah.
They're 5, yeah.
I tried it a couple of times and I was like, this is too much like exercise.
You got to slowly start off and then you get to 21 reps and it takes about 3 minutes. And
really?
I love it. So good for just moving the energy centers, getting the chi going.
Okay.
But these are 10 Tibetan movement and breathworks combined. And they take a while to do, but it's so, I feel like high as a kite after doing it. Like I took 2 espressos and like just so crystal clear. Breath is everything.
Have you ever used the Othership app?
I'm good friends with Robbie. I love Othership. Love those guys.
That's
like
cool.
Great stuff. Yeah. They combined it with contrast therapy and
I really like that app. It's just breathwork's one of those things that's difficult. It's difficult to build as a discipline for me because it's work. They call it breath work. When you first start, it's always like, oh God, I don't want to do this. Like I've never started any breath work, whether on my own or with a facilitator, and been like, yeah, let's go. It's always like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm leaving.
Yeah. Well, just
then you hit there's a certain threshold you hit, and then it starts to become more automatic, and you have some momentum. But that's been a tough one. I know it has so many benefits, but it's like, man, you really got to commit.
You got to build the habit.
I probably don't need to tell you if you're a regular listener of this show, but EMF radiation is a silent killer. It leads to oxidative stress and depletes and weakens our cells. So if you're exposed to EMF on the daily, which is everyone, you need to take action to resupply your body with what it needs to protect you. And that, my friends, is simply minerals. Turns out minerals are some of the best natural protection from EMF damage, so it's critical to supplement. I mean, imagine if you could give your body all the minerals it needs to fortify your inner resilience in just 30 seconds a day. Well, thankfully, that's totally possible, ridiculously easy, and affordable. You just throw back a shot of Beam minerals every morning, and you're good to go. The full spectrum of minerals in Beam acts like a shield guarding against the stress caused by EMF. So if you want extra EMF support from the inside out, you got to get on the Beam, my friends. To do it, just visit beamminerals.com and use the code Luke to get 20% off. And with Beam, you'll get all 12 minerals your body needs in bioavailable form. which means you're not going to be spending your hard-earned money on expensive pee. And what's cool is that Beam not only protects you from EMF, but it also supports heavy metal detox, better mood, energy, and sleep. The fact is that everything just works better when you are fully mineralized. And again, you can do it at beamminerals.com with the code Luke. All right, take me to 3. Take me to floor 3.
Pathway number 3 is reframing the shifts. And that's what we've been talking about so much, just your relationship to your story. And for me, after 5 years of very much training with the beverage company and then the Hormetic stress and thinking that, everything was great, what was happening on the outside still, the beverage company was blowing up incredibly, over 2,000 retailers, number 2 beverage and Whole Foods on the East Coast, like really doing well. And with that, you need a lot of product to keep up with the demand. And it's a rather capital intensive industry. And I was struggling raising enough money to keep up with the demand and was really internally getting stressed out and holding a lot. And on my birthday 2 years ago, about a little over 2 years ago, in front of all my friends in Topanga, I asked to step into less doing, more being. A common statement entrepreneurs approaching burnout will say. And I got gifted from all of my friends a Super 73 electronic bike, this Burning Man bike that I wanted so badly. And I take said bike for its first spin on the Venice boardwalk. The sun was setting. It was actually summer solstice 2023. And I'm like, oh, the money's going to come. Everything's going to be okay. It always is. And I get in the silliest accident that anteriorly dislocates my right shoulder, tears my labrum, and fractures 30% of my socket off.
That was on your first ride?
My first ride with it. My first ride with it. I couldn't put my arm down. I drove myself somehow to the ER. They had to dislocate to relocate it. Furious. I wake up the next morning, like, how can I raise money? How does this, all the stories, blah, blah, blah. And my HRV, which the day before was about like 120, dropped to 30, right? Which shows my nervous system screaming, rightfully so. Injured, hurt, physical pain, mental pain. And luckily I had a call with my coach that day. And I get on a call with him and I tell him the story and he breaks out laughing. I go, what the fuck is so funny? And he goes, let's break down the body spiritually. The arms represent the doing. The torso, the body represents the being. The shoulder connects the doing to the being. What did you ask for on your birthday? Less doing, more being. What did you get? Exactly what you asked for from the gift in front of everybody that you asked for it. How can you not laugh at the paradox that we live in? And the second he said that, like something happened and I just started dying laughing. I'm like, oh, I get it. My body is asking me to finally let go of this 10-year boulder that I've put all my energy in. I had started, I just launched that HRV guy. I had a client. I was really passionate about this, but I also was passionate about the beverage. And I had 170 people that invested in me putting everything I could into it, which I had and continue doing. And I was like, okay, I get it. I need to let go. And I shit you not, 24 hours later, same pain, same shoulder injury, all the things, but my HRV the next morning, 97, tripled simply from me changing my relationship to the injury to happening for me. And that's the power of reframing, which we spent so much time already talking about. So super, super, super important pathway for reframing.
There's a quote that I love by Shakespeare that goes, there's no such thing as good or bad. Only thinking makes it so.
So true.
I mean,
so true.
If one could live by that.
Well, I have another one that
it's a worthy goal.
It's such a worthy goal. And I have a, maybe not as extreme, but a mentor taught it to me. There's no, like, instead of labeling things as good or bad, right or wrong, blue versus red, since everything is all frequency, use dissonance or resonance. And just because something is dissonant to me, it actually could be very resonant for you. And just because it's dissonant to me now, tomorrow, it may be resonant for me. But by not calling it good or bad, it takes away the mind box on the thing that will cause an autonomic reaction the next time it happens. It's just simply energy. I'm dissonant with this. I'm resonant with this.
That's dope. That's much better than that guy is a dick.
Yeah, totally.
Totally. Relationship. That's the thing I applied it to immediately. I was just like, hey, rather than like that person's wrong, it could be they're not right for me.
Totally.
They might be totally right for them and everyone else in the world, but they're wrong for me.
You're just dissonant for it now.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And here's another one that I'm a big fan of etymology and the meaning of words. And as a New Yorker, assumo was meant don't make an ass out of you and me. And I was in Egypt on these travels and doing an activation in the King's Chamber that was profound. And as I was doing it, I don't know why, I got this download visually of the word assume, and I saw it split into 3 words: as, su, me. So I got out of it and I was like, I wonder what su means. And I started just Googling, and the Latin origin of the word su is in. As in me.
Wow.
My New York judgmental mind flipped because it's like, oh, of course, I'm calling that guy a dick. The whole reason I'm seeing him is because there's medicine in it for me. There's some part, doesn't mean that's me, but there's something I need to integrate and feel, right? I could be dissonant with it, but it's actually me. And it's hidden in the word assume that I don't think it was intentionally in there, but that's the coincidence that's
cool.
Always there. And so now I always try bringing curiosity when the New York judging comes into me, like, okay, let's just.
It's not only New Yorkers, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Definitely not only
I know
New
what
Yorkers.
you mean.
Yeah.
There's an energy. There's an East Coast energy or attitude that is somewhat prevalent. I mean, in contrast to like West Coast people that tend to be a little more laid back.
Absolutely. So yeah, those are a couple on the reframing side that have really supported my journey. So then pathway number 4 is intentionality.
Thank you for giving us, a lot of your course here for free, by the way.
Oh, my pleasure.
Obviously I'm sure it goes much deeper, but
yeah.
I like getting the secret sauce for the audience,
Totally. Well, it's the least I could do for your audience, because I've been a part of your audience for a long time. So yeah, cool. Really, really grateful for it. Pathway number 4 is intentionality, the alignment. And for my story, it goes, when I realized that the shoulder in my body was telling me to stop, I was like, okay, time to let it go. And I wasn't just going to let it go because I had so many people that had believed in me. So we did everything in my power, my co-founder and I, to find a way to somehow allow it to survive. And after about 6 months, we found the holding company that acquires distressed beverages. And they came along and they did an APA, an asset purchase agreement. So they purchased the brand and asset. They started a new company. We convinced them to take our cap table, which I'm so grateful for. So our investors own some of the new company. They took the debt to the suppliers, but the rest of the debt fell on the company's shoulder, which we dissolved. And I was the guarantor and had my own debt. And it so literally fell on my shoulders, and I had to file for personal bankruptcy. So I had my whole identity, my whole mind, physically, financially, emotionally, everything just totally shattered, needed to be shattered because of how extreme it was to step into the next chapter. And so I decided to go to Bali because my soul had been called to go to Bali for so long. And I knew it was the only place I could really afford to spend a good amount of time there, because have you ever been?
No, but I know it's inexpensive.
Oh my God. Yeah. And just a beautiful Mama Bali.
Allison is a huge fan of Bali.
Yeah.
I was all set to go with her when we first got together, and I'm looking on Airbnb at these places. I'm like,
dude,
this has to be a scam. There's no way this place is $150 a night.
Oh,
and so I was
that's
like,
expensive.
We're going.
It must have been a real
like,
nice place.
I'm like, we're going, dog. Let's go for 3 months. And then I looked at the flights, and I was like, oh, that's where they get you. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want a good seat, at least.
Totally. Yeah. But when you go, you got to go for 2-3 months, so the flight's worth it. So I go to Bali, and every single morning during my practice, I contemplate my gift, my question, less doing, more being. And every morning, my beautiful mind would be like, we love to do. We like, you're here to do. You have so much, like, what do you mean? We're going to just be? Like, there was just this constant chatter that wouldn't go away until one morning I had an epiphany that statement, less doing and more being, is mind-made and dualistic in nature. And it implies that doing and being are mutually exclusive. When the reality is we're always being, even though we're unaware of it 99% of the time. And we're always doing, even if we're sitting, sleeping, breathing. So it's not about doing less and being more. It's about the intention in your doing, the why in your doing, the purpose behind your doing. And it reminded me of one of my favorite quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, which I love. Have you read the Bhagavad Gita?
Bits and pieces.
Oh my God, such a profound piece of literature. This quote.
I got one sitting over there. It's been on my shelf for 20 years. I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. It's like, just get a couple sentences in. I'm like, okay, I'm tired.
Read one passage, and there, a friend of mine, Swami Chidananda, literally just goes around and he spends an hour and a half lecturing one parable in it. That's how much like profound wisdom is in this book. But this passage states, you have a right to your actions, never your actions' fruit. Act solely for the action's sake and don't be attached to inaction. Meaning, our souls came in here to do, to create, to be artists. We don't have a right to the results of that creation. And actually, that expectation is what leads to all suffering and a mind-made belief on how it comes up. We are simply to act for the action's sake. Act for your why, act for your purpose, and trust that it will unfold better than the mind can even imagine. And don't be attached to not doing. And so when I had this epiphany, I realized, I was like, oh man, I could still do. I just need to be super clear on why I'm doing it, on my purpose. And that's where this intentionality pathway comes in, because I believe HRV is reflecting your alignment with your purpose, with your highest self. And for me, and I find so many entrepreneurs, we're running on a story that we need to grind to build a thing, but then we get to a place where it's built, but we're still running the same program that it took to get there and not auditing our current purpose. And as we grow and evolve, our purpose changes, right? And so HRV is a compass. A compass needs 3 points to triangulate. 1, what you're observing. 2, how you're reacting to what you're observing. And then 3, the thing to compare it to, your purpose, right? And so every morning...
Damn, you put some thought into this, bro. This is great.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's a really clear model. I like it.
I appreciate that.
This is all things that I apply in my life in different ways, but I would have never put them together around this central compass. That's so interesting.
Yeah. And so for me, for my clients, it's always like really aligning on what your purpose is now. And purposes can change, right? And they can ever evolve. But grounding into that, for me in my morning practice, and then consciously going about your day, infusing that, and then reflecting the next day on how that aligned, and that drastically supported my HRV. So intentionality.
Epic.
Yeah.
I like that. And that was a really beautiful idea around that you're always being, even when you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a matter of the degree of presence in the doing. Yeah. It's like, I forget who it was. It might have been A.R.T or something, was talking about how you can be moving quickly, but not be in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you can be driving really fast or running really fast, but you're just totally chill. You just happen to be, your locomotion is fast, but you're not, there's no anxiousness around it, you know? Totally. I don't know where I heard that, but I really took that. It's one of those nuggets that just landed, you know, that's kind of stuck with me, is when I find myself getting all frantic and I'm not in this moment where my body is. It's like, oh, whoa, hold up. I can still be crushing it and being productive and getting things done as long as I'm 100% in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And with the results thing, you reminded me of another funny thing. You know, so many of these truths are languaged in different ways, but around, you know, the attachment to the outcome or to the action you were describing. One of my teachers used to say, because I'd be all disappointed about something about which I had an unrealistic expectation. And he'd say, Luke, you got to stay out of the results business. That's not your business. That was like another way to say the same thing. And it just stuck with me. Anytime I'm like, ooh, I'm doing this thing so this other thing happens. And then if it doesn't, I feel deflated. It's like, what if the intention, to your point, is just in the doing? Cool. Then you don't have to worry about it. And if it doesn't happen, it's like, now I'm grateful because I feel like I'm being protected from something that doesn't serve me. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
it's like I put out this merch line last year, whenever it was. I was really excited. I thought about, in a deep meditation with the Rasha machine, all these really cool slogans and like memes downloaded over the course of a couple sessions, like 80 of them or something. And I was like, am I crazy? Or are these really good? Told all my friends, like, oh my God, that's genius. One of them, I'll run it by you. It's a design that has a mushroom and a cell tower, and it says 5Gs, not 5G. It's like fucking brilliant. I mean, it's not just me, right? It's not my idea anyway. It came from the ethers, the muse, right? So I was really excited. It took me like months to find someone that just had cotton shirts. I couldn't even find organic, but I was like, they got to be all cotton, at least the t-shirts. And I put it out, and it's just like a thud. No one seemed to really respond. I mean, I still have the site up, lukestorymerch.com, if you want to help undo that expectation that was failed, you guys. But, it was one of those things. And it was like, I really thought this is going to be fun for people and it would be a cool thing. And it's just like, just kind of like petered along and hasn't done anything. But I wasn't terribly disappointed or affected by it, even though I put a lot of energy and some money into it. It's just like, it was actually just fun to do it. to think of the ideas, to hire a graphic designer to implement them, to get them on some shirts, find the company. A lot of work went into it, but the work taught me how to do something that I didn't know how to do, which is like take this kind of particular creative idea and bring it to fruition. Now, whether or not it was meaningful to other people is none of my business, because the results business is not my business.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And it's the most, I mean, cliche saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And the reality is, I mean, we're all going to the same, we all know where we're going, right? It's the classic, like the Buddhist circle philosophy where like, if you know how a circle ends, but you're at a point in the circle, if you don't know how it ends, you're at the point, you're like, ugh. But if you actually know how it ends, doesn't matter what's going on in this point, you know the ending to the story. So why does it matter? All you need to do is enjoy, cultivate a relationship with this point, because you already know how it's ending. And we all know where we're going. We all know how we're ending. And so the more we can just like zoom out and remember that, and we came here to experience, like as humans, we came here to feel. That's what I believe the whole point of the educational simulation is. And bliss, a mentor of mine said, like, bliss is fully feeling every emotion. Like to fully feel every emotion, all of them, the ones even that we say are bad, is what bliss is. And so this line that you put out was, if your intention of putting it out was, if it's for you to like fully go through that process, to experience, to understand these things, and there's no attachment to it, you get all the medicine that you need out of doing that. Yeah.
What's number 5?
Pathway number 5 is community, the amplifier. Because at the end of the day, we all are mirrors walking each other home, and co-regulation has scientifically been proven to be a thing. Hearts synchronize with the nervous systems around them. And when you say like people get upset when, you triggered them, if you're so calm, that's their medicine. And over time, their nervous system will start to sync, because the heart is the largest magnet, right? Literally like a metronome. We sync to who's around us. And so to be open and vulnerable and feel all those feelings and be witnessed just amplifies the regulation in the body. And I mean, the longest study in human history, the 80-year plus Harvard study, one of my favorite TED Talks, they spent over 80 years, I think over 72 youth from Boston, 18-year-old boys, following every aspect of their life, following their medical records, their jobs, their spouses, interviewing everything, 3 generations of scientists in unimaginable amount of data, all to find what led to a longer, healthier, happier life. And after all of that, they came back with one thing, and it was relationships. And not quantity, but quality relationships led to a longer, healthier, happier life. And that's the foundational pillar of all 5 blue zones and all the things, is really community. So yeah, community is pathway number 5.
One of the, I'm tempted to call it a hack, but it's a really bad word for an expression of love. But one of the tools, practices that I use as one of those breaks, like New Calm or doing CO2 or whatever, is I grab my wife and I just give her a super long hug, and we just breathe together. We just sync our breathing. We never planned it. It wasn't like, hey, let's try this thing we heard about on a podcast. We just did it from day one.
That's in my course.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get that.
Yeah, it's weird. And I'm like, have you ever done this with anyone? She's like, no. I go, how did we come up with this? I don't know.
It works because
first started doing that.
Hearts, oh man, it is an actual scientific thing.
It calms me down. I can be like so stressed out, and I don't know, 2 minutes of that, and I'm just like, wow, I feel like I just took a nap. I'm so chill. It's amazing.
So true.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's because she's really special, but I'm sure it works when any 2 people have coherence.
Yeah, absolutely,
or resonance, as you said.
Absolutely.
So, do you think that's a good tool to use?
100%. I love giving hugs. I give very long hugs for that reason.
Yeah. It's just such good medicine.
Yeah.
All right. So, tell me what people will find at lukestory.com/theartofheart. And by the way, there's a code there for you guys when you find out what this is, which is Luke, and it's 10% off his course. And everything we talked about that's linkable today will be found at lukestory.com/HRV. But before we get out of here, tell me about your course. What's up with that? I'm assuming it's somewhat based on these five levels or stages you described. What else is in there? Who would it benefit?
Yeah. So the course, the offering is called The Art of the Heart. And within the offering, there's my HRV fundamentals course. And then there's different offerings that offer some deeper work and different PDFs around Newcom and all the different gadgets. So it's a plethora of things, but the foundation is this HRV fundamentals course, which is 5 modules. And each module kind of guides you through some of the conversations we've been having. Module 1 is really totally breaking down the autonomic nervous system and going very deep into what we first talked about. Module 2 is breaking down HRV as the language and going much deeper into understanding it, all the different ways it impacts you. Module 3 is going deep into each of the 5 pathways. Module 4 is my favorite, and it's called the educational simulation. And it talks about the observer effect, talks about science, talks about much deeper into what we're actually projecting, these frozen emotions, and talks about how we thaw them out. And then module 5, which is the most important, is my HRV reset, which is a somatic activation, a meditation that I created that intentionally takes you from parasympathetic into sympathetic and gives you an opportunity to, I say, sit in the arena and actually feel the frozen emotion, and then guides you out of the arena back into parasympathetic. So it's something I do daily, something my clients do daily. And that's what you get in module 5, as well as an audio clip to do it at home anytime you want to. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
And the people that go into it. Because this is new, right? It'll be like, it's not out as we record,
it's
but
going to be out
by the time.
Yeah. It's
beautiful.
Pairing with this. This was a big deal. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that contribution, because as we started today, I mean, this is just so important for people. So many of us are running around trying to supplement and biohack ourselves into enlightenment. And it's like, dude, your nervous system is listening. You can't get past it.
Mm-mm.
It's just one of those things I've kind of learned the hard way at times. It's just, oh man, you gotta address the meat suit, man, from an energetic nervous system level.
Yeah, I, like you, couldn't get past it. And if you don't listen, it speaks louder and louder and louder until a shoulder injury, a bankruptcy. And so one of my missions is to really support and share my stories to hopefully allow other people to start to listen before it gets to that extreme.
Yeah. Epic. All right. Who have been 3 teachers or teachings that have influenced your life? You probably knew I was going to ask you that.
I did.
I do my best to ask it at the end of every show.
Yeah. My first is my mom, who was just beacon of unconditional love, and what unconditional love is. And my relationship with her has just deepened as I've gone on this journey. And, at first in the beginning of the journey, one healer called her my corset of my 3rd chakra because of my attachment and belief to feeling I needed to support and protect her. And I have grown to just fully love and accept every part of her. And she's been unbelievable for me. So she's my first. My second would be my father, and actually a mutual friend, Kimberly Vanderbeek, really maybe 6 months ago, opened me up. I did a beautiful tea ceremony with her, and she got this download and just realized how powerful he's been on the other side for me, and the ways he's shown up in the men in my life and at times. And really, I shared a little bit about just like, zooming out of his passing and what that meant and how that shaped me, and how that's gotten me really to be able to step into what I believe my dharmic purpose is in this carnation fully. So that'd be 2. And then number 3 would be Dr. Gabor Mate, who his work is so resonant with the stuff I talk about in terms of, our formative years, the importance of nervous system, of the emotions stuck in our body, of what we're projecting. He's just such a beautiful soul that I just deeply inspired by him.
He's badass. That guy cracked the code.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he did.
Well, we did a show a couple of years ago. I'll link it in the show notes here. It was one of my career highlights. People often ask, like, what was your favorite interview? And they're all fun and inspiring for different reasons. But on a personal level, that was talking to someone that really knows how to look under the hood,
Yep.
And it was really a beautiful conversation. And at the end, when we stopped recording, I'll never forget this. It was so affirming. I mean, he didn't know me. He probably, guys like, they probably don't know who they're talking to. Their assistants like, hey, you got a podcast at 2. Okay, who are you? Where are you? That kind of thing. Like, he didn't know who I was. But during the course of the conversation, it was. I can't help but make it somewhat subjective and personal because I'm asking things that are relevant to my experience. And we stopped recording. And he goes, Luke, before we go, I just want to tell you, he said, it's such a pleasure to do an interview with someone that you can tell has just really done the work. And I was like, I have. I feel like this work never ends. There's always something I'm like, oh God, okay, another little pocket of neuroses that I'm trying to fucking ferret out. And it was such a sigh of relief. Like, oh yeah, I sometimes forget. I think many of us on the path forget to look back and go, oh shit. Now, I'm not perfect, but from where I came from, oh my God, there's been a lot of change, So it was such a gift to hear that from someone that I respect, and also someone I really sense would have no reason to blow smoke up my ass around that. He would just be like, thanks, nice to meet you, bye.
Totally.
He's like, wait, hold on. I need to share something with you.
Totally.
I was like, shit, cool. Good job, Luke. Keep going,
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And the one thing that I feel called to share after that, because I so resonate with the inner voice, like, oh man, there's always more work to do. And like my desire, I talk to Cal about this all the time, to like continue doing the work, is that if the work is done, then we wouldn't be here in these meat suits, right?
Totally.
Like, so anybody who says the work is done, you smile at humbly, but just knowing that allows me to be like, oh yeah, no, the joy is in the work. So like to actually experience the work and not be like, oh shit. So that reframe for me has really supported, like, yeah, I came here to learn. I came here to be a part of the educational simulation and feel everything. And even the shoulder, the bankers, all the things, like it's all part of the ever evolving process that I get the privilege of.
It's crazy because what most people fear most in the human experience is the graduation.
Yep.
Right? That's the only time, at least the work on this level ends, right?
Yep.
When you leave the body, and that's the thing we spend our entire life trying to avoid at all costs. And that's like actually probably the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Not that I'm in a hurry to graduate, but
totally.
But I share that perspective, when it's hard, I go, hey man, this is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for coming by today. I appreciate it.
And truly such an honor, as a big fan of you and this podcast. So thank you so much.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.